Before we dive in, make sure you hit subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment with your thoughts. Your engagement helps keep this channel alive and growing. Now, let's get straight into it. During the Great Depression, losing a job was not just an economic setback. It was the collapse of one's entire life framework. Jobs were more than paychecks. They were the backbone of identity, security, and survival. The stock market crash of 1929 triggered a chain reaction where businesses failed almost overnight, banks collapsed, and families found themselves without income, without savings, and often without hope. Understanding the brutal reality of unemployment in this era offers valuable lessons for both historians and survivalists today. Losing a job meant immediate loss of income and housing. Many families rented or owned homes on strict payment schedules. Without steady wages, eviction was swift and often unavoidable. Shanty towns, known as Hoovervilles, sprang up across the country as people were forced to live in makeshift shelters. These settlements were not only physically uncomfortable but socially stigmatizing. Families lost community standing and access to essential resources like food and clothing. For anyone studying survival strategies, this is a stark reminder that security is fragile when it is entirely dependent on a single source of income. Diversification of resources, even in modern terms, becomes a lesson drawn directly from these experiences. Food scarcity was immediate and severe. Grocery bills could no longer be paid, and social safety nets were limited. Soup kitchens and bread lines became lifelines, but they could not feed everyone, and often the quality and quantity of food were minimal. Families had to innovate. Leftover scraps were repurposed, and simple ingredients like beans, cornmeal and lard were stretched to feed entire households. Understanding these survival tactics is essential for anyone studying historical resilience or preparing for extreme situations today. Learning to maximize minimal resources while maintaining nutrition is a skill directly transferable from Depression-era households. The psychological impact of unemployment cannot be overstated. Men who lost jobs often felt their roles in the family and society had vanished. Pride, identity and purpose were tied directly to one's ability to provide. This often led to depression, hopelessness, and, in some cases, the breakup of families. Recognizing how economic collapse affects mental health is as critical today as it was then. Historical examples show that communities that maintained shared responsibilities, pooled resources, and preserved morale were more likely to survive prolonged hardship. For survival enthusiasts, this demonstrates the importance of social cohesion and planning for both material and emotional resilience. Healthcare was another casualty of unemployment. Without work, insurance, or the ability to pay, doctors disappeared. Treatable illnesses became deadly, and injuries could spiral into life-threatening situations due to lack of medical attention. Families often relied on home remedies or improvisation to care for the sick. This really emphasizes the value of self-reliance, skill acquisition, and stockpiling essential supplies. Modern preppers and survivalists can learn directly from these strategies. Skills like basic first aid, herbal knowledge, and preventative health measures are not luxuries. They are survival necessities. Children were particularly vulnerable. Many left school to work, and some were sent away to relatives or orphanages because families could no longer feed them. Education which today is assumed to be a constant, was disrupted entirely, limiting future opportunities. This is a sobering reminder that societal collapse disproportionately affects the young, and protecting the next generation requires strategic planning for both sustenance and stability. Families that survived often prioritize skill building and practical knowledge over formal education, a strategy that allowed them to maintain self-sufficiency even when institutional support vanished. Debt became a prison. Many families had taken loans for homes, farms, or personal items. Once jobs were lost, these debts became impossible to service, and repossession or foreclosure followed. Farmers lost land, homeowners lost property, and entire livelihoods disappeared. For anyone studying survival or economic resilience, the lesson is clear. Reliance on external credit without contingency planning is inherently risky. Maintaining flexibility, reducing unnecessary debt, and developing self-reliance were survival imperatives then, and remain relevant now. Community support was critical. Neighborhoods pooled food, shared labor, and created informal networks to maintain some semblance of survival. Mutual aid was not just helpful. It was often the difference between life and death. For modern survivalists and history enthusiasts, studying these networks provides actionable insight. Building strong local connections, bartering skills, and forming support groups is a direct application of lessons from the Depression. Resources alone were insufficient. Survival depended on organization, cooperation, and adaptability. Finally, the experience of unemployment in the Great Depression teaches the value of foresight. Those who managed to survive and eventually thrive often had diversified skills, savings stashed discreetly, or the ability to grow food and trade. For modern preppers, this translates into cultivating multiple skill sets, maintaining emergency provisions, and planning for disruptions. Survival is never about reacting. It is about anticipating, preparing, and adapting. Principles proven by the harshest lessons of the 1930s. Understanding why losing a job in the Great Depression meant losing everything is not just an academic exercise. It's a masterclass in resource management, emotional resilience, and survival strategy under extreme pressure. Every historical detail carries a lesson for those who want to understand human endurance and practical preparedness. If you found this insight valuable, make sure to subscribe to Battlefield of Survival, like this video, and leave a comment sharing your thoughts on how communities today can apply these lessons. Share this video with fellow history enthusiasts and survivalists so more people can learn from the hardest lessons of the past.